Go ahead.
Awesome.
Hi, Eunice.
Hi, Peter.
Are you so excited for this interview?
I am so excited.
Did you, you told me that you prepared a little bit. I hope that I wasn't too intimidating of a task.
I hope so.
Okay, I think I prepared a little bit too, so we're on the same wavelength.
Thank you.
Okay, we're rolling on camera too.
Test.
Can you stand the background for a second? Tara, can you look at Tom?
Yes. Don't move.
Tell me when we're ready to go and I'll clap so we got a sync point.
One of the things in my cinematography class that they taught us was prepare for everything to go wrong.
Good to know.
Well, we lost our whole background today. Like, this whole kind of setup was like a complete.
Someone
brand
tore
new
it down this set that
invention.
was.
Oh my.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I moved my thing, eh?
I wasn't recording any of that.
Okay. Any of what?
Not a single moment of that was recorded.
Oh, so we're gonna start with the first question?
Yep.
Okay, no problem.
I mean, well, this is the reason why we have, that's called a test frame, you know?
Yeah. I think I can remember some of the
Yeah.
answers.
Let me know when you're good.
Okay, speeding. Rolling on camera 1 and 2. Sync up.
Me, motherfucker, part one.
You gotta get it into the second angle. Sorry, Mark. Can you hold it like there? A little lower. 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 Up. And a little to the right. Thank you.
Can you tell me your name, title, and passion?
My name is Eunice Abaga, and I do many things. When everything is all good and going well, I do policy work. I am a school teacher. I do that as well. And in my free time, I do volunteer in community boards and working groups here and there. So I love life and I enjoy working with people.
Yes, my name is Tara Taylor, and I am a creative industries entrepreneur. Many things.
My name is Mark Day Jr. I'm a director, filmmaker, an artist, creator, an entity. I am art, a walking embodiment of it.
My name is Nikita Morris. I am 25 and I am a filmmaker.
My name is Andre Anderson. I am a 10th generation African Nova Scotian from the Preston Township, as well as a 9th generation African Nova Scotian from Upper Hammonds Plains. I'm primarily a filmmaker, but I'm also an entrepreneur with some projects on the side with that, but I would say primarily I am a filmmaker.
Thank you. Never got this.
So how do we start this?
We have to start rolling cameras first.
Do you have your questions there? Do you want the lighting diagram questions as well? They're really great questions.
Well, the film industry itself isn't
Two,
an inviting
one.
place. And if you don't know the right people, you might never make it in there. Like, it's very good old boys club in that sense. Like, if you don't know the right people, like to this day, I wanted to do set construction, but I don't know two people that do set construction to sign off on it for me. And my hours are in a variety of things. They're not focused to set construction, but that's what I want to do. But I can't cut my lane. I can't, I didn't say cut your teeth. I can't get in there. So I have to find different avenues and lanes in which set construction would be useful for me in the productions that I do.
Barriers that I faced in the film industry so far, being here in Nova Scotia, is even someone to even let me know what the heck I was doing. So I always joke, and people have heard me say this before, in the early days of the emerging lens, I call it the real first year. And so what that was I was interested in making movies. The very first workshop I ever did was at the old CBC on Sackville Street. And that was, bless her heart, Ann Viral and Connie Littlefield. And they put on this workshop there. I took the workshop and again was hooked in actually making movies and that and films and whatnot. And so I just realized like I had them, but I didn't have anybody from my community to show me how to like go through. And even though they were putting on the workshop, they couldn't necessarily tell me how to like, oh, go to school here, go to school there. Not that they didn't have the knowledge, but it was just a workshop. So it wasn't, they weren't there for that. And I didn't know to ask. So you didn't know what you didn't know.
You know, one thing is not seeing yourself represented very much, which has, you know, psychological things, but also not having connections. You know, in every industry, like a lot of people rely on the connections that they already have to the community. And, you know, a lot of African Nova Scotians don't have that connection to the Nova Scotia film community. And I was very lucky that I even stumbled into it, right? And so because of that, that really led me to take that challenge to start making my own things and look into, you know, the resources that my community has.
The other barrier that I see is to do with getting opportunities to work on film. So if we don't have the education, or if we have been historically marginalized to enter the film industry, then we don't get a chance to make more films, and there's very few people who are role models as a result.
Like for me, as you can see, I'm clearly Black. I am an African Nova Scotian. And you kind of stick out like a sore thumb a little bit in the industry. So things that you do wrong sometimes, and I don't think, to be fair, I don't think people even notice that they do it. I think it's subconscious in their mind, but sometimes you get, like it's almost like you'll get in trouble first. So you have to kind of just like push through those little things that you have, like you're used to pushing through. It's hard to, hold on. It's hard to explain because it's like,
I've been on union sites, and a lot of times the people of color that you see are hair and makeup, food, transportation. And they're there, they're represented, they're on the set, they're actors and stuff and this and that, but they're not first camera, they're not first sound, they're not the head light guy, they're not the best boy, they're not these head positions that are actual, they're nowhere in the production team when you see them, right? And that's a gross generalization, because there are pieces in Nova Scotia, it does do a lot to try to like counter that. Like there's shows like Digstowns and like all kinds of other shows that have really like tried to embrace that, so that they have the most Black people or people of color on crew and like a multicultural, diverse crew. But it's an incredibly challenging task to try to pull off in real life.
I wanted to change that. So through doing and connecting with my community to find other like-minded people, other filmmakers, other, you know, potential, I call them potential creative industries entrepreneurs, we've been able to start to do that and bring other people into the industry, because I know that everybody else face these barriers and the lack of funding. So there's a lack of funding for everybody. Doesn't matter what color or race you are, but definitely for us. Our stories need to be heard, and they need to be funded extremely well.
The other barrier that I see is to do with opportunities for learning and training for film, which is financial. And in my case, as I said, I signed up online, did it for 3 months, and realized I can't afford to continue paying $350 American per month in order to learn online. And so I had to seek for opportunities, and what I did is I applied for funding to go to journalism school, and I was very fortunate to get a scholarship that is named after Sylvia Hamilton, who is one of the key filmmakers in Nova Scotia.
Because at the age of 18, I actually did apply to NASCAD, but it was for, I'm a visual artist as well, so it was more for my painting and whatnot. But if I had known about the programs in the film studies at DAL as well as at NASCAD, I would have gone to school. And now, even at my age now, I still feel like, gee, am I missing something by not going back to school? Because I'm a complete grassroots artist. However, what I've discovered through my journey is that they don't teach everything in school, and some of those teachers have not worked in the industry in a long time. So that means that's why I do these programs and I partner with the colleges so that we can have that age-old experience mixed with the industry now, and then we can bridge that gap and and actually open minds more.
My film school experience was kind of interesting. It wasn't what I imagined it would be. I did involve myself with not the greatest people, which hindered sort of my own beliefs on my own abilities in making films. Also, where my film school was in Toronto, it was a bit of a culture shock because I'm coming from Nova Scotia and like a town, I'm not coming from HRM, I'm outside in Colchester County, going then to Toronto, and then being the difference was insane. So I was then even more in my shell a little bit, but also going there then brought me out of my shell, because beforehand I was already very shy and socially awkward. It was really hard for me to keep conversations with people. Keeping eye contact was difficult. And then once I kind of went to film school, I was around people who wanted the same thing as me, but also nobody knew anybody. And I was like, oh, okay, let me try being myself again and see how that works.
There's no headspace for people who just want to learn. And any other thing you wanted to learn, you could just go learn it in reality. You can go to Dow Library and pick up a book and learn the things you want to learn. But to physically get hands-on with a camera and have access to gear, have access to equipment, have the freedom to play with things, that's not something that's just necessarily accessible to a young person of color in this game trying to come into even if I've had music videos and visions in my head since a child, and then how do I go ahead and manifest them, right? I come up from an era of these cameras. We had to wait for the red light to come on, that's the most I knew about a camera until I came into the free film program. And it was very much so a crash course. It was 1 week of this is how a camera works, and the second week is here's a camera, go make a film.
And the reason is because we don't see it as a viable career. From when you're in high school, by high school, you kind of sort of know what you want to do. So if we want to act, if we want to even sing, if we want to do animation, if we want to do any part of the creative industries, be a producer, who's telling us how to do that? For real.
When you start new and nobody knows you and there's not much work under your belt, they kind of are like, they don't, it's not that they're not taking you serious, but in a way they're not taking you serious, because they're like, we don't want to take a chance and give money to somebody if we don't know if they're actually capable of doing the things. So current challenges is where I'm still very new in the industry, is trying to find avenues to still create things and still get the credits that I need. So then when I want to actually make my own stuff that's going to be shown to the world on networks, it's a bit tough because I have to kind of jump through and wiggle my way into things and try to get people to see the vision that I have.
As a new filmmaker, how you start to even figure out how to get your work created and pitched to a Netflix and a Crave or whoever, it's pitch markets. How did I learn about pitch markets? I actually can't remember. But when I went to my first one, I was like, are you kidding me? So we're sitting down here figuring out, writing a script saying, how do I get Bell Media to listen to this and actually develop it? How do I get, a Netflix to You don't have to chase them. You don't have to try to look up their head office. What you do is you go to a pitch market, and they are there to give you 15 minutes for you to pitch your idea. right? And so when I realized this, I said, oh, I'm meeting with Blue Media. I'm meeting with so I met with about probably Paramount Plus. Come on, little black girl from East Press, and I'm sitting there talking across from Paramount Plus. That's hidden knowledge that they keep from us down here. Oh no, my mouth is wide open now.
The more we get people of African descent in Canada and Nova Scotia specifically, the more it's good for the entire industry. So if we get opportunities to participate and make films that inspire, educate, and provoke positive change in society, then I will feel like my voice did matter.
Being a black director doesn't necessarily confine me to certain work, but it gives me the option to explore certain work. In the sense that, I very much plan on doing, regular movies that anybody can really watch and relate to. But I also plan on doing particularly specials on African Nova Scotians in our community that need the spotlight that they deserve, And I can go into those two worlds pretty much with ease because I am a black director.
Probably what inspired me was, oh goodness gracious, I think it was probably Spike Lee. Spike Lee, because he made anything that he wanted. And I said, there must be somebody in Canada, because I didn't want to move to the States to meet him and like work with him. So I'm like, there must be somebody in Canada that's making like whatever they want and actually succeeding. And so that was probably my inspiration, was seeing his movies.
It was very interesting to me to watch movies, and an entire world is created in a screen for you to watch, and you get lost in it for a little while before like kind of just going back to your regular life, whatever it is. Because in film, things can be exaggerated. The impossible is possible. Magic is real in film. Like you literally, like the possibilities are kind of endless. Of course, depends on your budget.
Things cost money, and then it's a very costly industry. And when they say time is money, this is the industry in which they're referencing, right? Every second is money in this game, right?
So that's one of the main barriers. So even after we have people trained, after people, are producers and whatnot and get some credits, then we still need to have proper funding.
The key film stakeholders, whether in Nova Scotia or in Canada in general, would make a difference if they funded groups like African Nova Scotians, for example.
Now, with that being said, there's money in it. There's longevity, there's work. There's a chance for you to carve a creative niche for yourself and then still be creative on your own back end, right? So I used to say it like this: you got to do what you got to do to be able to do what you want to do. And that's something that, in this industry, you need to take serious. If you want to be able to be creative, then you have to have a source of income that's going to actually back you in real life so that you can pay your bills, because rent isn't cheap in Nova Scotia, but the boss is, the boss is cheap for sure. So work hard and just don't stop being creative. Don't let no one tell you that your idea is not a good idea. Like straight beans, figure it out.
I want to use that voice in a way that I can make a difference in this world. I want to leave the world a better way, like my sister used to say. And I want to tell stories that heal.
But if you can make a story and it like touch somebody's heart, then I think you're doing something. You're doing it well.
Create, and know that your stories are extremely important. Just because there's been 60 years or 80 years of like other, content that's been made without us, right? Not about us, then it doesn't mean that we don't have a voice.
So hopefully change is coming. I don't know when, but I hope that change is coming to get more people of African descent involved by removing those barriers.
It's our time to get our stories out there.
Look at some of the challenges as lessons and become the filmmaker you want to become.
Good, that's it.
What do you say at the end? Cut!